just glared at by the debtor's daughter. Unexpectedly, he developed a strange affection for her. However, the thug showed no mercy. He ordered his men to wheel the dying old man out of the hospital. Lisa tried to stop him but how could a weak woman deal with this group of thugs? Out of desperation, she had no choice but to take on all the debt herself. Then, under the thug's coercion, she pressed her fingerprint onto the document. But the woman didn't know that a seed called love had quietly been planted between them. Meanwhile, Jack, who also walked out of the hospital, felt an indescribable emotion welling up in his chest. The next day, he ran into Lisa on the street again. At that moment, Jack realized he had fallen for the girl. Seeing that she not only carried her father's bottomless high-interest debt but also had to pay exorbitant medical bills, Jack couldn't help but feel heartbroken. So that night, Jack crouched in a corner and stopped Lisa. He invited her to have dinner together. Lisa thought the man had come to collect the debt, so she reluctantly agreed. Jack originally wanted to help Lisa figure out a way to repay the debt, so he suggested she sell one of her kidneys. Upon hearing this, Lisa instantly flew into a rage. She told Jack never to bother her again. It wasn't until Lisa's silhouette vanished into the night that Jack realized he had said the wrong thing. But he wasn't going to give up pursuing Lisa over such a small misunderstanding. The next day, he went to the hospital. Looking at those medical bills made him even more worried about Lisa. However, Lisa ignored the man and turned to leave the ward. No matter how Jack explained himself, Lisa remained convinced that he had ulterior motives. After leaving the hospital, Jack headed straight back to the company. He slammed Lisa's signed high-interest loan contract down in front of his boss. He begged the boss to let Lisa off. By then, the boss understood that Jack must have feelings for the girl. The boss said the interest could be waived, but the principal had to be repaid. This was indeed a huge favor for Lisa, but before he could even say a word, Lisa once again came face to face with that repulsive face. As the two argued, the manager appeared behind Lisa. The manager accused Lisa of handling personal matters during work hours. When he heard someone bullying Lisa, Jack was the first to step forward to defend her. In the end, both of them ended up at the police station. Ever since meeting Jack, Lisa had grown to despise the thug completely. To her family, Jack was a lazy good-for-nothing who didn't hold a proper job. At his age, he was still crammed into a house with his older brother and sister-in-law. To outsiders, he was a ruthless debt collector. But only Jack himself knew that when he encountered truly struggling debtors, he would sometimes leave a little of the collected money to help them get through hard times. One day, Jack locked himself in his room and wrote notes all night. The next day, he came to the hospital. One was Lisa's debt statement. The other was a hand-drawn promissory note. If Lisa went on a date with him for 1 hour each day, Jack would color in a square. When the entire promissory note was filled in, Lisa's debt would be considered paid off. After leaving a business card, Jack turned and left. Although Lisa was stubborn, she eventually bowed to reality. In the end, they decided to set their meeting place in the park. Hearing that Jack's intentions were impure, Lisa gave him a fierce glare and turned to walk away. But after Lisa left, Jack started to regret his earlier greed. That night, Jack returned to the hospital. He agreed to Lisa's proposal, just taking walks and having meals together each day. It was then that Lisa asked Jack for the first time if he liked her. Faced with such a direct question, Jack didn't answer. The next day, the two formally signed the contract in a restaurant. Jack found that meal especially delicious. Each time they met, Jack carefully colored in a box. From that point on, Jack began looking forward to that 1 hour every day. Lisa also gradually stopped resenting Jack's presence. Sometimes, Jack would have people send food to Lisa. At first, Lisa thought it had been sent to the wrong person, but when she stood by the window and saw Jack, she knew it was specially prepared for her. Jack changed his previously scruffy appearance. Before going out each time, he would make sure to dress neatly. Every morning, after dropping Lisa off at the bank, Jack would go to the hospital to care for his father. Even wiping his father's waist brought him no complaints. Seeing this scene, Lisa slowly began to be moved by him. When Jack once again placed food into her bowl, she no longer resisted like before. From then on, the two would go shopping and eat together like a couple. Love gradually wrapped around them. However, something that happened one day shattered all the goodwill Lisa had painstakingly built up. Because Jack was busy with dates every day, the boss assigned other underlings to take over Jack's work. Those underlings smashed a debtor's stall to pieces. To protect the debtor, Jack stepped in and knocked that underling down. Unbeknownst to him, Lisa was standing in the crowd. All she saw was Jack's terrifying, ferocious expression. Lisa suddenly realized that Jack was, after all, still that thug. One day, when Lisa arrived at the hospital, she discovered her father was no longer in the ward. After asking a nurse, she learned that Jack had taken his father to the rooftop. Lisa's first reaction was fear that Jack might harm her father. Jack didn't understand why Lisa was so angry. Gathering his courage, he finally said the words "I love you." But coming from a punk like him, "I love you" sounded so laughable to Lisa. She believed it was nothing more than an excuse for Jack to get what he wanted. Jack didn't understand he had already expressed his sincerity, so why did she remain completely